Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, August 28th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Lucas Giolito and Taijuan Walker are your starters. Lucas Giolito has struggled on the road this season. When he was a member of the White Sox, that was the case. And through his first 3 road starts as an Angel, he's also struggled there. His first game on the road against the Blue Jays, he went 5 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 2 home runs. Wasn't miserable, but still a loss in the end for the Angels. Then the next road start against the Braves on August 2nd, he gives up 9 earned runs and 3 home runs. His last road start on August 15th against the Rangers, 4 earned runs, 7 base hits, and a 7-3 Angels loss. I don't like this spot for him on the road against a tough Phillies lineup, and Taijuan Walker's been so sharp at Citizens Bank Park this season. 6-2 record, 3.14 ERA, and 71 2/3 innings. Give me the Philadelphia Phillies here on the money line. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Detroit Tigers. Luis Severino and Reese Olson are your starters. Neither of these starting pitchers have been very trustworthy this season, but I do think the Tigers, that's where the value lies in this game. Is Olson, even though he's got that ERA above 5 this year, an xFIP at 4.07, I do think he's a lot better than that current ERA. I think he has a lot of potential. I mean, 9 strikeouts per 9 innings and 68 innings of work so far at the Major League level, so at least he's able to miss some bats. And Severino, even though he's coming off that good outing against the Nationals, it's been a very disappointing season for him. ERA above 7 overall, but an ERA above 9 with an 0-6 record on the road this season. I got to take the Detroit Tigers at home on the money line. Next up, the Chicago White Sox taking on the Baltimore Orioles. No official starter for Chicago. We should see Grayson Rodriguez for Baltimore. The question is, can Michael Kopech pitch in this game? He left the last game, or his last start, early and is considered day-to-day. He would be in line for this outing, but even if he is a starter, I still think the Orioles win this game. Behind Rodriguez, who has been in good form in the last month or so, giving up 3 earned runs or fewer his last 5 starts. Good strikeout numbers, much better control. He's facing a White Sox team that offensively just not been good against righties in the last month and overall this season. Kopech, if he is a starter, we know his control's been bad this year. A lot of walks given up. This White Sox bullpen has not been good enough. Give me the Orioles here on the run line, land those 1.5 runs. Next up, the Washington Nationals taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Josiah Gray and Kevin Gausman are your starters. We talk a lot about how the Nationals have been so profitable on the road this season, and going into Sunday's game against the Marlins, they're only 1 game under 500 on the road. With most of their road games, they've been big dogs, pretty sizable underdogs on the money line. So we see another spot here with Washington on the road with Josiah Gray on the mound, who has been really good himself on the road this season. He hasn't pitched too well at Nationals Park, but away from home, 85 2/3 innings with a 2.73 ERA. Kevin Gausman's a good starting pitcher, but he hasn't been a very profitable starting pitcher, at least as of late. You look at the month of August, he's got a sub-4 ERA and 22 2/3 innings. However, the Blue Jays are 1-3 on the money line in those 4 games. Even back in July, where he had another sub-4 ERA, 3.52 ERA, 23 innings of work, the Blue Jays go 1-3 in those ball games. So for me, there's value with the Washington Nationals in this spot. Give me the Nationals on the money line and the run line plus the 1.5 runs. Next up, we go to Fenway Park as the Astros take on the Red Sox. Christian Javier and Chris Sale are the starters. And for me, this one looks like it's going to be a high-scoring game, as not only, both these offenses are solid, but both of these starting pitchers, I think the offenses match up well against them, and they just faced these starting pitchers in, last week's series between these two teams. Chris Sale against the Astros, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, a home run. Christian Javier against the Red Sox, 5 innings, 3 runs, a home run, 7 base hits. Both of those games' final scores 9-4 and 7-5. So, now you're at Fenway Park, an even more hitter-friendly ballpark than Minute Maid Park. And, you're facing the same pitcher twice in the same week. The Astros hit lefties very well in the last month and overall this season. The Red Sox, the same thing against righties. Give me the over here. I don't really love either of these bullpen options. In terms of the expected numbers, not great in the last 30 days. Getting a little bit better as in the last week or so. But still, give me the over here in Astros Red Sox. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the New York Mets. John Gray and Tyler McGill are your projected starters. I like another over in this one, as I think, John Gray, it's tough to tell what we're going to get from him right now, as he was pitching really well against the Angels and Giants, but in his last start against Arizona, gives up 5 earned runs and only 4 innings of work, 7 base hits, 3 walks to go with it, so a lot of base runners. The New York Mets have been decent against righties in the last month, and I think they'll be able to get to Gray for a few runs. But I also think the Mets, Tyler McGill and the bullpen, they think they give up plenty of runs in this game as well. Tyler McGill, he's been a little bit better as of late, but he doesn't pitch deep into ball games. He has control issues. He leaves pitches down the heart of the plate and gives up a lot of sharp contact. We saw that in his last game, giving up 2 home runs. This Rangers offense is still strong against righties in the last month, even though it's been a disappointing week or so for the team. They're still top 10 in baseball against righties in OPS and ISO in the last 30 days. This Mets bullpen's not trustworthy. The Rangers bullpen in the last month got an ERA just below 5. Give me the over here in Rangers Mets. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Minnesota Twins. Xavier Curry and Kenta Maeda are your projected starters. I'm going to go with the Twins here. I trust this offense more against right-handed pitchers, and I think Maeda is the better option on the mound. Curry's got that 3.51 ERA in 77 innings. However, a 4.99 expected ERA, 5.28 xFIP, so I am concerned with the regression going forward. Maeda really struggled the first half of the season, has been much better in the second half, even though his last couple of outings, he wasn't able to go too deep into those ball games. I still think he bounces back here, gives a good outing for Minnesota. Give me the Twins here on the money line. In our next game, it's the San Diego Padres taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright and Blake Snell are your starters. To me, there's a lopsided pitching matchup, at least in the starting matchup. Blake Snell having a great second half of the year. Another quality start in his last game. His offense didn't back him up in that game, but they should against Adam Wainwright, who's got an ERA above 8 on the season. His last game, 6 earned runs against Pittsburgh in 4 2/3 innings. The Cardinals have lost each of his last 4 starts, all 4 of those losses by 2 or more runs. So I'm going to go with San Diego on the run line here. 2 disappointing teams in the National League go against each other. Got to pick one. I'll take San Diego. Next up, we see an NL Central battle between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Wade Miley and Jameson Taillon are your starters in this ball game. It's tough to go against the Brewers when they're playing a divisional matchup. They're so far a record of 24-12 against the NL Central this season. The Cubs aren't too far behind, though, 23-15 themselves. The Brewers are winning the season series between these two so far. It's very close, and it could change in this series. I do think Wade Miley's a slightly better option. Jameson Taillon hasn't been great at Wrigley Field. I also think the Brewers' bullpen is better in this matchup, and that's, for me, I think this game could be close. I don't love Wade Miley in terms of the future outlook. I think there's some regression concerns when you look at the expected numbers. But, the Cubs have hit righties a lot better than lefties, so the matchup's not terrible for Miley. I think we see, I don't really think starting pitching matters in a game like this. I think we're going to see a close game late, and if that's the case, I'd rather have the better bullpen, the more consistent bullpen, at least in the second half of the season. That's been Milwaukee's, in my opinion. Give me the Brewers here on the road on the money line. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Kansas City Royals. Johan Oviedo and Zach Greinke are your starters. Right off the bat, when I look at this pitching matchup, I lean towards the over. I don't really trust either of these starters, and both of these teams have crushed righties in the last month, but I also think Greinke is a slightly better option to start this game. Don't love the Royals bullpen, so I'll take the Royals in the first 5 innings. I'll still take them in the full game as I think they win the game in the end. But Zach Greinke has been so good at Kauffman Stadium this season. Last year, he has a 3.57 ERA at Kauffman this season. Even better numbers last year. And on the road this season, 56 2/3 innings, a 7.15 ERA. It's crazy how severe the home and road splits are for Greinke. But when he's pitching at Kauffman Stadium, he is backable, especially when his offense is doing as well as it has in the last month against righties, and I like their matchup against Oviedo. So I expect a high-scoring game that Kansas City takes in the end. I'll take the over. Kansas City in the first 5 innings and Kansas City in the full game money line. Next up, the Atlanta Braves taking on the Colorado Rockies. Bryce Elder and Austin Gomber are your starters. Now, we know when you look at these two teams' records, the Braves going into Sunday's game, Sunday Night Baseball, they have an 84-44 record. The Rockies 48-81. However, this is a really brutal spot for the Braves. I expect this to be a good series offensively for Atlanta. They're one of the best lineups in baseball at Coors Field, and they should still be able to score some runs in this matchup. However, we know the Braves are better against righties than lefties. They're also playing Sunday Night Baseball, having to travel from San Francisco to Coors. We know teams traditionally, at least in the last couple of years, have not played well after traveling. From Sunday night, playing on Monday, they have not performed too well. And Bryce Elder, I don't think is the best option, especially in this spot. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy, now pitching at Coors Field against the Rockies team that hits righties better than lefties. I don't think it's going to be a great outing for him. And Austin Gomber, we've talked about him. Even though he's not great at Coors Field, he has been a lot better in the second half of the season for Colorado. He's been a solid option for the Rockies in that rotation. Certainly not going to be an ace-level starting pitcher, but in his last 5 games, he's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in 4 of those 5. So I'm going to take a shot here with Colorado plus the 1.5 runs. You can maybe take 2.5 runs for extra insurance, but I think Colorado competes in this game. I'll take those 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Oakland A's taking on the Seattle Mariners. Brian Wu for Seattle, no official starter for Oakland. Now, T-Mobile Park's considered a pitcher-friendly ballpark all the way, but that really hasn't stopped the Mariners' offense lately. I mean, we saw on Saturday they put up 15 runs against the Royals, and you're facing a similar pitching staff in Oakland here. No official starter, could be a bullpen game. Hate to break it to you, but the Oakland A's bullpen in the last month, an ERA above 5, and the second worst Sierra in the league as well. So I don't think it's going to be too strong in this matchup against a red-hot Mariners lineup, one of the hottest teams in baseball. But also on the flip side, Brian Wu has not been great at T-Mobile Park this year. 5.85 ERA in 20 innings of work with a pretty steep opponent's batting average at 266, 6 home runs allowed as well. Good strikeout numbers, but he's facing an Oakland A's team that has been decent against righties in the last month, especially in the power department where they're 5th best in baseball in ISO. I think we see a high-scoring game here. Give me the Mariners and the A's over the total. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the San Francisco Giants. We're going to see Andrew Abbott and Kyle Harrison on the mound in this one. I consider this a buy low spot for the San Francisco Giants with Harrison on the mound. He's still one of their top pitching prospects in the organization for good reason. He's got wicked strikeout stuff. We saw that in his Major League debut against Philadelphia. The big concern with Harrison's game has been his control, but he only walked one batter in those 3 1/3 innings against the Phillies. So, that's exactly what you want to see if you're San Francisco. The Reds are a tough lineup, but I think the Giants' offense backs up Harrison here as they're facing Andrew Abbott, a lefty, a rookie lefty, and the Giants have not been great against southpaws overall this year, but they've improved in the last month where they've got decent isolated power numbers, above league average OPS numbers. So I think they'll be able to get to Abbott if this is a close game late, which I think it very well could be. I think the Giants have one of the better bullpens in the National League right now, and the Reds' bullpen in the last month, the expected numbers aren't the best. The ERA above 4. I think San Francisco has the advantage there, so I'm going to take the Giants at a solid price. Harrison struggled a little bit in his Major League debut. He was only able to go 3 1/3, but I like Harrison in this spot. Give me the Giants on the money line. And your final game for Monday's card in Major League Baseball, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Zach Gallen and Bobby Miller are your starters for this one. Zach Gallen is in amazing form right now. His last 3 starts, all quality starts against the Padres twice and the Texas Rangers. Never easy facing the same lineup twice, especially a divisional team, and he pitched well in both of those games. Really good strikeout numbers. The control's been there. He's got a 2.01 ERA in the month of August thus far. I think he pitches well. I mean, the Dodgers are a tough matchup, especially in Dodger Stadium, but I think he's good enough here for the bats to back him up and win this game. Bobby Miller wasn't great in his last game, especially in the middle innings against Cleveland. 4 earned runs, a home run in that game, in that 8-3 Dodgers loss. Give me Arizona here on the money line on the road. A very important game, an important series for Arizona. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.